If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Dymin Hickman. I am a student at Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri, and I run a YouTube channel by the name of Vintage Coochie.
Yes. And do you want to get into why did you I guess start your channel?
Well, my blog started as like an Instagram page. It was just dedicated to like urban Black culture, sort of throwback, archival vibes. And I would always give my opinions of like pop culture things on my Instagram story. And a lot of my followers would like slide up and just be like, "Oh my gosh, you're always so right. Your opinions are always on point." And so I told myself that once I hit 1,000 followers, I would start a YouTube channel and just sort of post all my opinions there. So I reached 1,000 followers on Instagram. I made my first YouTube video and then just tried to be a little bit more consistent. And I started growing on YouTube even bigger than I am on Instagram.
Yes. And do you maybe want to get into like the type of content that you post?
Yes, I like commentary videos of, a variety of different things, mainly just related to like Black girlhood, sometimes music, the music industry. I just like to shine light on different aspects of Black culture that don't get talked about as much. So like I did one music video where I was talking about rappers like Rico Nasty and Asian Doll because I felt like those girls were overlooked and like different aesthetics that started from different aspects of Black culture that don't really get talked about anywhere else.
Exactly, yeah. That's the chakra era video. Correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong. Yes, yes. That's also one of my favorite videos as well.
that's
And
my, I love that video.
yes, it's just like yeah, like again, like I just feel like again, Rico Nasty doesn't really get a lot of like recognition, especially for like what she has, started and everything, like when it comes to very much of like alt rap and everything and just yeah, and I also want to get into like, why did you or if you want to, I know you explained it a little bit, but if you want to, I guess, get into a little bit more like, why did you want to I guess create your concept based off like, I guess like the pop culture from the 2010s?
Yeah, so I basically went through a big Y2K phase when I was in high school. And my freshman year, I followed a bunch of like throwback pages, but it would always kind of be like the same thing where it's like Pink, Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan. And I always wanted to find a page like that, but for Black culture.
Yeah.
So there were some pages like Ethnic Brat on Tumblr, Cartier Hoochie, which is one of the first pages I followed on Instagram. And I noticed that it was a very small market. Like when you search a Y2K page, there's, hundreds of them, but there wasn't really a whole lot. So I just kind of wanted to be a part of that. So that's what made me start my Instagram because I just felt like there needed to be more places like that for people like me who wanted to see like this throwback that highlighted hip hop and video vixens and all of that stuff. And as I've just become more nostalgic of the 2010s, I've slowly been incorporating more things from the 2010s that I miss into my content as well.
And I love that. Like you're creating, representation out there, especially for me as well. Like I used to follow like a lot of throwback pages as well, but again, it was just mainly of course of Paris Hilton and everything. And I think there's this one page I think called Fly Black Girls.
Yes.
I think yeah, that page also that I also look into as well that does like a lot of throwbacks as well, not only from like I guess the 2000s but also from the 2010s as well. And like since there's been like a bit of a revival of the 2010s coming back lately, how does your channel capture that?
I think that I try to highlight a lot of the creativity of the 2010s in my videos, whether it's an entire video dedicated to like an aesthetic from 2010, like the swag video I just did. But also I did a video about social media and marketing, and I sort of referenced the 2010s in that because I just feel like it was such a creative and innovative time. And I just like shedding light on that era, whether it's like an appreciation post on Instagram. I do feel like the ways in which aesthetics were experimented with in the 2010s, especially within like the hip hop community and the Black community, which is so creative. So I just always try to shine light on that, especially when those trends like become repopular, but people sort of erase where it came from. I want to make sure that that cultural erasure doesn't happen.
Exactly. And like, do you maybe want to get into, I guess, like your recent video, the swag video that you made lately? Because I know how swag is definitely coming back. But like I know how some of the trends, some people kind of guess like kind of pick on it and be like, this was such a bad era for fashion and everything, but like we seem to deeply like appreciate it now. So you
Right.
may want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started because I personally have found myself like wearing pieces that I wore in the 2010s or that like I would see like my cousins and stuff wearing in the 2010s. And at first I kind of thought that maybe it was just me and I was just kind of weird, but then I would scroll through TikTok and I would see like a bunch of kids wearing shirts that say like hashtag swag is back on them. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is actually a popular thing. And as a kid, I was obsessed with that era. Like I used to go on Pinterest and Google all the time and try to do my hair like the girls and wear like my snapbacks and stuff. But as I saw it becoming like a very slow recurring thing, I'm like, well, I already did another style analysis video in the 2010s. I love this aesthetic. And I know that this aesthetic is something that's talked about, but it's also something that if it does become popular again, it could very easily be erased and just seen as like a TikTok micro trend, you know? So I was just like, this is a good time for me to just talk about it, show some appreciation for it, and make sure that when if it does become popular again, people know where it came from.
Yeah. And like I think that also relates to again like how you brought up the micro like trend and
Mhm.
how like again based off like everything that's coming back does come from Black culture and everything. And like do you also maybe want to get into I guess like with the micro trends? I think like a big micro trend I can say was like I think during quarantine how people were like kind of bringing up with like how people kind of label like AAV almost as like Gen Z slang or whatnot, but still it wasn't. So
Right.
like yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it as well. You see that so commonly, especially with like lots of popular Black streamers that have predominantly white fan bases. They use words like even words like yacht, you know, which has become so butchered and people use it so incorrectly. And so it's like even though my platform is smaller, I feel like if I can use it to shed light on things that we created that way, if you are arguing with somebody on Twitter and they say, "Oh, this isn't, you know, something that Black people started. This is just Gen Z fashion." It's like, actually, no. And here's the proof of the fact that that's not true. You know?
Yeah, it's the same word with like unk and
Yeah,
how people use it. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, I do appreciate how again like with your channel it's almost like again you're covering a lot of like Black history. And
Hmm.
I also want to ask like aside from being a commentator on like everything about 2010s and also about like Black pop culture, like how do you feel about I guess the revival of the 2010s yourself, like everything coming back?
I honestly really like it. I know that I think the reason I like it so much is because the 2010s, like I said, was such an innovative time that I feel like not only were the trends fun, but I feel like as the trends and like fashion styles from the 2010s come back, I also think that that mindset of innovation that a lot of people had in the 2010s will come back. Because people already are like becoming I think progressively more focused on individuality, despite how many micro trends there are, and that's a debate within itself. But I mean, I love the 2010s. That was my childhood. That was one of my favorite times of my life. I'm all anything, especially early 2010s, like 2010, 2013 ish, anything from that era coming back.
Yes.
I'm with it 100%.
Yes.
Yes.
And like, is there, I guess, a moment from the 2010s? See, I guess that was your favorite, and that what wasn't your favorite?
Like a style.
Like a star, or like basically anything, like when it comes to music, like
Oh, okay. Ooh, I like the creativity with music videos in the 2010s. I was somebody that I used to watch like MTV Jams every morning growing up in like 106 in Park. So I felt like that's one thing that I missed, was just like the creativity of music videos and like the storytelling of music videos. Um, Everything about the style from the swag era, the IG baddie era, you know, snapbacks, everything being inspired by sportswear. I loved all of that. Um, I ooh 2010s. It's just I don't know. It's so hard to come up with specific things. I also like how things weren't so serious. I feel like
yeah.
music was a lot more fun in the 2010s. I feel like nowadays people are so focused on being like the best or being super lyrical. But like when you listen to songs from the 2010s, like even like rap music, people weren't super focused on having like the hardest bars of all time. It was just about having fun. And I think that's what I like the most about it, just the fun aspect of it.
Yeah. And was there something that you disliked about it?
About the 2010s,
Yeah.
I think what I disliked is the impact that social media sort of had. Because
Mm.
in the early 2010s, that's like when YouTube and Facebook and stuff were in their heydays. But as it went on, I think that social media has had a huge damper. Even things like streaming. Streaming got really popular in like 2014. And I just feel like social media has had a very harsh impact on the entertainment industry. Also, the normalization of like white YouTubers like PewDiePie saying the N word and like, things like that becoming more normalized on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. So that aspect of the 2010s, just sort of like the negative impact that technology had. And then that is, of course, affecting the 2020s. Probably my least favorite aspect about it.
That makes sense. And does that also, I guess, relate to your video on like with social media and marketing of the 2010s? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And yeah, because I talked about that too, about how like a lot of artists are more concerned with being like influencers than artists. And that's why, you don't really get icons like Beyonce or Rihanna anymore. So yeah, definitely. So the effect of social media is probably my least favorite thing.
And with that, again with the I guess the revival again, has there been a moment on your channel that has, I guess, recently went viral based on you talking about the 2010s?
I think the most recent one would probably be the IG baddie aesthetic one. Obviously, I wasn't the first person to talk about it. She is so bougie on Tumblr and Amara Noel. There were also people who had kind of talked about like the 2010s bombshell coming back. But I do think that as that aesthetic has like grown more popularity on like Tumblr and Pinterest, I think my video got like close to 50,000 views. So I think that in the future, when that aesthetic does come back, that probably will be a video that a lot of people go to be like, oh, what should I wear? What should I buy? That type of thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like when watching a video, um, and I'm probably gonna bring this up during the episode. It was just like, how you pointed out how like things were really like different, like especially when it came to the heels and everything.
Yeah.
Like either they were like neon bright or like sparkly, and
Mhm.
just like also especially like as a black girl myself, especially the hairstyles and everything and the bundles, how like nowadays everything is kind of a bit sleek, but back then it was just much more fuller.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I feel like yeah, there's definitely a lot of things coming back as I see, and like I definitely do see it like throughout social media as well. Like especially I think also with like I think you mentioned in your video or with your bombshell videos as well, like with like Bad Girls Club and everything, and
Hmm.
how like that era, like a lot of girls, during that time were like we're also now kind of influencing a lot of girls nowadays. I don't know if that makes sense, but like yeah, like again, like they just I guess like maybe Black China doesn't realize it, maybe she does, or like maybe what is it? Like who else can I bring up? Like just a lot of people who are like made these trends, but like they just did it just to did it, but they don't realize like how it's coming back and everything. And almost a bit of the creator behind it too.
Yeah, like I see people on Twitter all the time posting pictures of like the Claremont twins on BGC and like Jayla. And like you said, it wasn't like they were intentionally trying to be trendsetters. They just naturally were that way. And so, yeah, it was very authentic. I think that's why so many people gravitate to it.
Yes. And like do you maybe also want to go into, I guess, like say other videos on your channel?
Just other videos in general, or like,
I guess like other videos in general.
yeah, I think my ooh, I was actually rewatching my video today about the BET Awards, Culture's Biggest Flop. I think those are the videos that I like doing the most. I just really, really like cultural deep dives. Um, but I was rewatching that one the other day, which I really like. I love doing the underrated bombshells video that you talked about. And I like seeing suggestions from people of like other girls that I can include. Um, and I don't know, I'm just excited to be more consistent with my channel, hopefully in the future.
No, of course, like, girl, I'm subscribed to you, so like, I'm ready to see whatever you come out. Like, I'm
Yeah.
always gonna watch it. But like, Yeah, is there, I guess, let's see, another idea you have in mind when it comes to discussing about the 2010s? Like, what's next, a next topic, I guess, for your channel when it comes to 2010s?
Well, I was recently considering doing a video about how streaming has affected Hollywood, and that would, I would have to go over a lot of like the way that like I said, like social media and stuff from the 2010s has impacted the way that we intake things. Um, and I can't think of many other aesthetics from the 2010s, but I was thinking of doing something like a deep dive of like IG baddies, like maybe doing like a video about like, oh, who is Miracle Watts and why was she popular and things like that. And also doing that for like video vixens from the 2000s as well. But that's
Yes.
some type of series like that where like, dedicated to different like cyber girls and stuff.
Yes, wait. Oh, I can't wait to see that one. Especially like about video vixens as well too. And yeah, I just feel like again there's just like so much history about the 2010s and like personally for me I think like it's really great like most of this stuff is coming back because it also influences like my day to day like especially like what type of music I listen to and stuff like most of the time listening to like old Nicki like oh just like that era is just
I
yeah.
have an entire 2010s playlist that I listen to where it's just like Wiz Khalifa and like a
Yes.
back in the day.
Yeah, like I feel like I think with the, the state we're in right now and everything, I think that we're using, I guess, 2010s or like just we're really going backwards instead of forward right now. And I don't blame a lot of people because I guess in a way that's really a form of like escapism and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's like, because I guess the 2010s was like really comforting for a lot of people, I guess now that's why I guess we take it as a method and it's kind of comforting for us, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and plus like the 2010s, a lot of like music and entertainment from the 2010s was intentionally more positive because of, like the economic crash of the late 2000s. And so I feel like since we're going through that similar, like, so much inflation and Trump is the president again, a lot of that stuff from the early 2010s that sort of made us happy or like distracted then is coming back as like a distraction, like you said, and escapism now too.
Yeah. Like I think like what is it? Yeah, I just again like especially on social media I see like a lot like last time I think I was on TikTok there was like this TikTok but I think somebody was like they had made this edit of like Drake and like his old music and everything like especially from the year 2011 and stuff and people are like I wish that type of music came back nowadays. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think like maybe we took a lot of stuff for granted. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is there, I guess, anything else you want to add or
Um, I don't know. I would just say that I'm excited for the revival of the 2010s, and hopefully, when they do come back, my videos can be a pinpoint for people that, want to get into these aesthetics that are going to be popping up again. And I am so like genuinely grateful and thankful for you to act
no?
with me. Like this is the most exciting thing I've done in a while.
Of course, no, like I was like, you know what? I want to like what I did earlier was I had interviewed like this DJ who like was highlighting, what is it? He had this magazine back in the day and like he interviewed a lot of people from the 2010s like Wiz Khalifa, J. Cole, but this is when they were like starting to get established in the hip hop scene as they like now like they really are established in the scene, but this is like kind of like how they're starting their career. So I was like, I
Yeah.
want to ask somebody else, like a commentator, like a historian who, who also dives into this type of stuff. So when
Mhm.
I saw your video on swag, I was like, I have to ask her. Cause like, yeah. Cause like that's basically like most of your content and stuff. So I had to ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, thank you so much. Again, make sure you guys check her channel out if you can, please. If you want to learn more about, especially about Black culture, especially during the 2010s, that would be really, really great. Is there anything else you want to say as well?
I mean, yeah, follow my Instagram, my Tumblr, same at vintage.coochie on Instagram, and then just vintage coochie on Tumblr. And yeah, just thank you again for the opportunity.